Learning is actually pretty simple. We've all been learning since the day we were born. When you were little, you were taking in lots of information, different types of information, trying to understand it. What are colors? How does this button work? Why does it do that? As we get older, the concepts get more complicated, but the process remains largely the same. Taking in data by exploring and experimenting and trying to figure out how to connect and use that knowledge in real time. Unfortunately, when we go to school, mostly we learn the least effective ways to learn. Instead of being immersed in the subject, we get a small but very overwhelming stream of info that we then have to regurgitate, mostly around memorization. Very little time is given to experimentation or to synthesis, and subjects and learning styles are chosen by an external force, not by what naturally drives you as an individual. It's no wonder most people forget what they learned. But if that's not how you're supposed to learn, then how are you actually supposed to learn? Especially as an adult, since we don't exactly have the amount of free time that we used to. Well, the first step would be to go back to the source. So when you're a kid, you're always learning because you're curious. So to replicate that, instead of focusing on a subject like art or math, we should focus on a question like what causes people to go to sleep, or how did people used to make socks, and exploring that and seeing where it goes. And by doing that, you guide the learning process to follow your interests and your goals instead of trying to contort your interests and goals to fit what you think you should be learning. But what if it's a more complicated subject, like, I don't know, physics? It actually still works the same. So, for example, the majority of people who are good at physics enjoy it in some way, whether it be a job that they get paid for or a hobby that they choose to do for fun, because it sparks their curiosity, either the actual solving of the problems, like putting together a 1,000-piece puzzle, or they're pulled in by the potential creations that they can make using physics. The second step is immersion. Not total immersion, mind you. Obviously, you cannot just lock yourself in a room all day to learn something, but your brain needs reps to develop and strengthen those neural pathways, and a 3-hour binge session is just not going to cut it. But consistency over time will. A little bit every day, or even better, multiple little bits throughout the day, can replicate the immersion process on a small scale. Each time you practice, you work out those neural pathways, and each rest period gives them recovery time to build back stronger. Children naturally do this. They'll do an activity until they're tired, rest, and then come back to the same activity and be better at it because their brain strengthened those neural pathways. Recommended study practices also use this, like Pomodoro, where you study for a specific length of time and then rest for a specific length of time and then continue studying again. The third step is finding your learning style. So how you learn best is going to be driven by how you process info and what excites you. So do you like to play with physical objects? Or maybe you like to read? Talk to people for some reason? Or do you prefer a steady pace or a varied pace for learning? Figuring out your own style takes practice, since it's specific to you. You have to experiment as you're learning and see what works, what doesn't, and what excites you, but it is very worth it. The change is very obvious. It's almost like figuring out your native language after trying to speak a second language your whole life. Well, that is all for today. If you would like me to make a video on the different types of learning styles and how you can find yours, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, remember to be the change you want to see. See you next time!